The CS for Education is present. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the CS Education, the Honorable Machogu. CS, welcome to the Senate. I will now allow the Senator for Kakamega, the Honorable Boni Kalwale, to proceed to ask his question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to ask question number 22 on the order paper, being A, could the Cabinet Secretary state the remedial actions the Ministry has taken to allow resumption of learning in Mukumu Girls High School in Kakamega County following the suspension that occurred due to suspected contamination of food and water that resulted in the death of 4 students and 1 teacher, and the hospitalization of more than 100 students in various hospitals within the county. B, what support has the ministry given to families of the deceased, particularly in meeting the cost of treatment where applicable and the cost of burial? C, does the ministry intend to compensate families affected by the suspected contamination? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary, can you proceed to call for the question?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. The question is very clear, and my answer is as follows. Mr. Speaker, sir, and all the honorable members, after the unfortunate events at Mukumu Girls High School, I personally visited the school on the 15th April 2022 to assess the situation. I had discussion with the school community and the local leadership on the matter, and on the way forward, I did constitute a multi-agency team comprising of officers from the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Interior and National Administration, the Ministry of Health and the County Government of Kakamega to look in the matter and make appropriate recommendations. We did give very clear terms of reference to that team, and the Regional Commissioner was the chairman of that particular team. Mr. Speaker, sir, even during that particular day, apart from constituting that team, I also had an opportunity of going to Kakamega Referral Hospital, where during that particular time there were 11 admissions. I was able to stay and consult the families and those who were admitted in the hospital, and actually even at individual level, the Member of Parliament knows what I was able to do that day. And later on, I went to one of the families that had lost their loved ones to consult with the family and the community. Mr. Speaker, sir, the school was reopened after the multi-agency team confirmed that the school was safe for resumption of studies. The reopening was staggered between 8th and 12th May 2023 to allow the multi-agency team to give specialized medical scrutiny and counseling to the runners and their parents. The Form 4 students reported on 8th May 2023, the Form 3 students on 9th May 2023, the Form 2 students on 11th May 2023, and the Form 1 students on the 12th May 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, as at 30th May 2023, 1,962 students had reported the school, 44 are yet to report, while 56 have applied for transfer to other schools. Mr. Speaker, sir, based partly on the consultations and the subsequent recommendations of the multi-agency team, the ministry has taken a raft of measures to allow for the resumption of running at the school. And firstly, the management of the school has since been changed because I found it necessary to change the board, and therefore I dissolved the board of management, and a new one was constituted after I did the necessary consultations with the bishop of Kakamega Diocese. I had arranged a meeting with him and the local leadership, and we have a new board in place which was inaugurated on the 10th May 2023. Also, Honorable Speaker, I found it necessary to replace the former principal, so we now have a new principal in place, Sister Jane Mbone, who has been posted to the school with effect from the 15th April 2023. The purpose of these changes, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, is that the school leadership was to ensure that there was an acceptable leadership that could enjoy the support of the entire school community and the local leadership in working to resume normal school activities. Mr. Speaker, secondly, the following actions have been taken regarding the water supply to the school. As I went there on the 15th, I did request the Ministry of Water, and we have done the following. All the tanks at the school have been flushed out and cleaned. All water storage facilities have been properly cleaned and fitted with the new taps. The tanks are filled with clean and treated water that is routinely tested by the Lake Victoria North Water Development Authority and the Kenya Medical Research Institute. The water piping system has been designed and upgraded to avoid leakages. The ministry has operationalized a water purifier dispensing unit in the school. This has guaranteed access to safe drinking water, and Honorable Chair, the Honorable Member knows that on Saturday, the 27th, I was personally in Mukumu again to commission this water system, plus the water borehole that we have done for the school. Indeed, the cost of that water purifier machine is 6 million. The ministry has also sunk a new borehole in the school compound across the road. A pump has been installed and the water output is 8.12 cubic meters per minute. The supply is adequate for the school needs. The water spring supply system has been disconnected from the main water supply of the school because part of the problem we found out is that actually this water from the water stream was contaminated and hence is the one which caused the problem that we had in Mukumu gas. The third measure that we have taken as a ministry is that the contaminated food which was in the store amounting to 73 tons of cereals, maize and rice, and beans, we did make an order for it to be destroyed, and I'm here to confirm that the contaminated food was destroyed at Pamburi Cement Factory in Mombasa under the supervision of the National Environment Management Authority. The Mombasa facility was used because the nearby facilities have small capacities and could have taken at least 70 days to destroy the forum in question. New suppliers, Honorable Speaker, have been procured to supply food stuff, and we are also ensuring that we are doing a proper checking to ensure that whatever food consumed in the school is of proper quality and does not have any such contamination. The kitchen, bakery, and dining hall have been refurbished. Painting and fitting of aluminum sheets on all dining hall tables have been realized. Food handlers are medically checked after every 4 months, and actually, for now, even the time I went to the school on Saturday, I personally witnessed that they have been given certificates, giving them a clean bill of health to handle food from the public health personnel. So they have been tested and vaccinated against typhoid and issued with new uniforms. Mr. Speaker, sir, what also realized in the school is that we have asbestos iron sheets almost all over the school, which is not so good. So government has given 10 million for the purposes of renovating dormitories and removing the asbestos roofs on some of the buildings to ensure that the runners are in a wood general environment that is clean and healthy. So there is 10 million that we have given this particular school. To avert the risk of potential consumption of contaminated food and water in schools, the ministry is in consultation with the Kenya Bureau of Standards to conduct regular food and water tests across schools in the country. And Mr. Speaker, the ministry also, together with Ministry of Health, the county government of Kakamega, and other partners such as the Red Cross, has been providing counseling services to students, teachers, support staff, and parents in the school. The counseling services will remain in place to ensure the mental well-being of the runners and the general school community is actually done. And even me, the honorable member knows, when I was in the school on Saturday, part of what I did with the students is to sit down with them and create a confidence that from now on, all is well. The other thing that we have done, Honorable Speaker, is that we now have a clinic officer and a nurse who is permanently employed in the school, such that small and minor ailments can be done at the school level, and they can also be able to identify it in good time so that we take the necessary remedial measures. The other thing that we have done, Honorable Speaker, and here to declare my interest in that particular school, which the honorable member knows, is that I also got a wife from Mukumu. My wife is an alumni, so I normally look at the comments of the alumni of that particular school. We want Mukumu girls to reclaim its rustic glory, because this used to be the top school in the country, and then as an extra county school, last year with a mini score of 8.6, we wanted to do even better, and I have taken the following measures in order to ensure that the academic performance of this particular school is actually improved. The measures I've taken is that the ministry's quality assurance team has undertaken an assessment of the school and provided various specific recommendations to guide the school management, and this started on the 23rd of May, and we are going to make sure that indeed we have this one done, and I'm confident that the men and women that we have put in the board of diverse background, Ms. Mewa knows, in consultation with the local leadership, we have, among others, the former principal Moi Edoret, girls in the team. We have the former principal of Nanyuki High School, a man who did very well in the team. We have Father Vincent as the chair of the board. So with the raft of measures that my quality assurance has recommended, as given here, we are sure that the school is in the upward trajectory. We are creating confidence among the parents, the students, and making sure that this particular school, in 1 year or two, it will be among the top schools in the country, Honorable Speaker. And I have recommended what we are doing, particularly on this area of performance improvement, and for sure, we are going to make sure that the performance of this school is improved. The multi-agency team remains in place to monitor the implementation of the recommendations and to ensure that the school fully returns to normal operations. The team has regular engagements with the school management and provides report to the ministry. The last such meeting was held on Friday and Saturday, because when I was in the school on Saturday, we had a meeting with the regional commissioner and the entire multi-agency team. They did confirm to me that all measures which were supposed to have been taken, and I also had a meeting with the school board of management where we were able to discuss that they should be able to have regular meetings in order to make sure that indeed nothing ever goes wrong. And not only in Mukumu chairperson, Honorable Speaker, but in all our schools, we have been able to send a circular indicating what we expect in all our schools. Mr. Speaker, on the cost of treatment, I wish to inform the House that the Ministry, through the Head Welfare Insurance Policy, catered for the cost of treatment of the 109 students in various facilities that they were admitted to. The facilities in which they were treated include the Kakamega County General Teaching and Referral Hospital, the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, the Aga Khan Hospital Kisumu, the Kenyatta National Hospital, Rive Care Hospital, Pungoma, Oasis Hospital, Kakamega, and Medihill Hospital in Kisumu and Eldoret. The deceased families are entitled to a group life insurance compensation of Kenya shillings 400,000 per student from the Head Welfare Insurance Policy, and we are following that. And in a few days' time, I'm sure that the 400,000 that, according to the policy, will be paid to the affected families. The ministry, through the regional and the county offices and the school's management, has provided guidance and support to the bereaved families in pursuing these claims, which I've said they should be paid any time from now. The requisite forms have been completed and forwarded for processing, and as a ministry, we are pursuing to ensure that expeditiously a payment to that effect is made. Lastly, whether the ministry intends to compensate families affected by the suspected contamination, Mr. Speaker, sir, as I have indicated, the ministry, through the Head Welfare Insurance Policy, pays the costs of treatment for the runners who fell sick following the contamination. The families of the deceased students, as I've said, will be paid 400,000 per student from the group life insurance cover as compensation. The ministry will also continue to provide psychosocial support for the affected families and also the students. Mr. Speaker, sir, these are the forms of compensation and support that the ministry is able to provide within the existing framework. And as I've said, this is something that as a ministry we take very, very seriously. Chairperson, Honorable Speaker, and each and every school I go to, and my senior officers, like yesterday I was in schools in Siaya. Those are some of the things that we make sure that we check to ensure that schools are able to comply and conform to the basic health requirements. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir, and honorable members. I so submit.
Thank you, CS. Honorable Boni Kalwale, you, pursuant to Standing Order 51C7, you have a right to 2 supplementary questions. You may elect to ask them now, or you may elect to ask one. Allow your colleagues to ask supplementary questions, and thereafter you ask as the last person. What do you elect? To ask 2 supplementary questions at a go, or you ask one and then choose to be the last to ask the last supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I prefer to do it the traditional way, which is that you allow me to ask 1 question, and then my colleagues will support me with whatever intervention they have, and then you give me the final say at the end.
Kindly proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, this is a very satisfactory answer, and I want to thank the Minister for the same. Minister, on behalf of the leadership of the local community, I am the head of that community. It's called Abakak Mega, comprising of the Isoha and Idaho community. I want to confirm that myself, Honorable Elsie Muhanda, Honorable Fred Ikana, Honorable Bernard Shinali, and the MCS, we are satisfied with the changes that you have made, and we are fully supporting. The second thing, we want to thank you for the intervention that you made. This was not a laughing matter. The death of a teacher and the death of 4 children was too big to bear.
Senator Boni.
Mr. Speaker, sir, may I ask my question now?
Please proceed to ask your question.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, sir, despite the answer being satisfactory, there is a bitter taste in the mouth that the Director of Education in Kakamega County was fully informed of this problem long before the children died. This was not the first time it was happening. The previous year, it had also happened. It was coming because of the long rains, when the rains were sweeping feces into the spring. He ignored. Mr. Speaker, the principal of the school was fully informed. She ignored. Could the minister inform us whether he's going to take action against this director, against the former principal, for the crime of negligence that led to the death of our children? And if you are going to invite the ESCC into the school to investigate again the crime whereby there was a syndicate, the former principal was a supplier together with the employees of the school. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Boni, those are 2 questions. Proceed to answer the 2 questions, Honorable CS. One is to whether you're going to take an action for the criminal negligence of the principal, and the third is the syndicate that the principal was involved in the supply of goods to the school. So those are 2 questions. You've exhausted your right, Honorable Boni Kalwale.
The B.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. One, what we don't allow, and I want to make it very clear to all the principals in the country, is that principals or anybody working within a school is not supposed to be a supplier, because that makes it conflict of interest, and then we find that most likely when we find those cases, there will be misuse of public funds, not only for Mukumu, but any public secondary schools. Kindly, Honorable Speaker and the honorable members, once you find any such specific case, let me know. I will be able to investigate, and for sure I will be able to take the necessary disciplinary action, not only removing that particular principal from that school, but also even trying to investigate to see whether public funds have been embezzled in the process. I met a number of principals, all the principals of national schools. I've had a meeting. I've had a meeting with the principals in various parts of the country, and one of the items of agenda that we discuss is on this. I've had a meeting with all my county directors, and we normally have virtual meetings, and one of the embassies we make is on this. So kindly, Honorable Speaker, through your permission, in case the Honorable Member has empirical evidence that there was anything like this, I will write the evidence so that I'm able to investigate further, and if we find that it was the principal supplying food, then for sure we will be able to take some action, because we took her from there, and she is due to retire in December. We gave her, as we are doing some investigation, some soft landing in the provincial director service for the time being, because she has 6 months to retire. Two is that the maritime agents team have been getting reports, I think 2 reports in a week, and even now we are getting reports. So far, Honorable Speaker, we did not get reports which actually made it credible for us to pin down on any given individual, particularly on negligence to the level where we would have said here there is a criminal offense which has been committed by such and such an individual, and therefore that particular individual should be taken to court, because among other people that we had in that maritime agents approach were CID officers. So the report I've so far gotten from that particular team does not indicate that any individual was criminally responsible to warrant being taken to court. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Kathuri Murungi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this chance to ask a question to the CS Education. Honorable Speaker, I want to ask a very direct question, because there is basic education is a fundamental right to all children, plus then right to clean water. So I want to ask the CS in that right, how is he going to make sure that all schools, so that it is not only Mukumu girls, all schools have access to clean water in the country? And this is not a question, Mr. Speaker, but to ask, I want to thank him for visiting many counties in Kenya. Maybe when is he visiting Meru County, because we have many challenges and we would love to host him there.
Honorable CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My good friend knows that I was in Meru County. We sorted out the program that we had in Meru University, and the university, I'm happy, is now moving on very well. I went to Meru National Polytechnic in Meru, and also to another TVET institution, and I'm sure that soon enough, again, as I go through the other counties, Meru is also in my program. Honorable Speaker, progressively, the government is doing something concerning water. And if you look at the allocation of money given for this particular development, there is money which is given for school borehole development, but because we don't have the technical capacity and the equipment to do the water boreholes, the money is given to means of water. Just because means of water has the technical expertise and it also has the equipment to do the boreholes. Actually, Like the other week, we did open and commission two poles in Nyandarua. The one I commissioned in Mukumu Girls was money which is given by government for schools, but given to means of water. So progressively, we are doing boreholes. I'm commissioning another one in Laikipia this coming month on the 7th of July. So progressively, the allocations we have been given for water, which is given to means of water, we are doing boreholes. But in the meantime also, we request the schools, particularly in areas which get adequate amount of rainfall, to do a little bit of rain harvesting, roof harvesting, and also a number of schools are supplied by the existing water supplies in those areas where they are. So progressively we will be improving the situation out of the allocation that is given to us through means of water.
Senator Boni, you take the last bite on that.
Oh. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I would like to appeal to the Minister. The current infrastructure in respect of classrooms and laboratories at Mukumu High School was built for 1,000 students. Today, Mr. Speaker, the population has swollen to 2,000. We urgently need just 20 million to fix the classrooms and the laboratories. Please, could you offer to give us this emergency support, and then all will be well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Actually, the Honorable member, my good friend, knows the discussions that we had. The school procured 12 additional acres on the other side of the road, and we had very serious discussions on the meeting of Saturday, and I'm sure that out of the infrastructural funds that are given for us to give the schools, again, this coming financial year, 2023-2024, one of the schools which is going to be a beneficiary is Mukumu Girls. So I give you the assurance that that is going to be done.
Senator Mazayo.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, nataka kumuuliza waziri maswali mawili.
Senator Mazayo, you're entitled to one supplementary questions under the standing orders.
Swali la kwanza Bwana waziri, Bwana Spika, ni swala ambalo linahusika na yale majibu ambayo ametoa, ambao ni katika swala la 8 ambayo amejibu, lakini niko na swala langu mwenyewe ambalo nilikuwa nataka nimuulize. Kwa hiyo nataka nipatie nafasi kidogo tu, dakika moja niweze kuongea na waziri. Waziri, kwa majina mimi naitwa Stewart Mazayo, ni seneta kutoka Kilifi na ni kiongozi wa walio wachache katika bunge la Senate. Waziri, katika kujibu kwako swali hili, ukiangalia swali lako la 8 linaeleza ya kwamba kulikuwa na tani 73 za mahindi na mchele, na pia vile vile maharagwe ama beans yaliyoharibika na ambayo yalisababisha pia matatizo yale yaliyokuwa katika huko skuli. Waziri, jambo la kushangaza ni kwamba hatua iliyochukuliwa na serikali ni kwamba chakula hichi kilitoka kule Mukumu sehemu za Kakamega huko, zikapelekwa mpaka Mombasa katika kituo cha Bamburi Portland Cement Factory, ikiwa na supervision ya wale watu wa kuharibu hii shirika lile ambalo linahusika na ukaharibu ama yakaharibiwa kwa sababu yalikuwa hayafai kutumika. Swali hili lanishangaza sana, jibu hili lanishangaza sana, tukielewa ya kwamba chakula hichi kibovu. Bwana Spika, kama mimi naongea, nataka kumuuliza waziri, I want to see him.
Senator,
na wakili anaingia katikati.
Kindly, you're out of order now. Kindly take your seat.
Chakula hichi kiliharibiwa huko Mombasa katika kituo kinachoitwa Bamburi Cement Factory. Jambo la kushangaza, Bamburi Portland Cement Factory ni factory ya kutengeza simiti, lakini hapa tunaonyeshwa kwamba chakula hicho kilipelekwa kule kuharibiwa. Cha kwanza nataka kujua ni kwa sababu gani ulichukua hatua ya kuchukua chakula hicho kutoka Kakamega kwenda kuharibiwa katika Bamburi Portland Cement Mombasa, katika kampuni ambayo ina deal na simiti. Nataka ueleze hapo kwanza. Cha pili ni kwamba huu mtambo ni wa simiti, ilikuwaje ukapeleka chakula pale kuharibiwa, na kutoka Kakamega huko ama kutoka Western kimepita sehemu zote mpaka kimepita hapa tunaita Mlolongo. Kuna kampuni nyingi sana za, bwana waziri, kama unaweza kunisikiza, kuna kampuni nyingi sana hapa, Simba, sijui Rhino, na kampuni nyingi sana zinazodeal na mambo ya simiti. Kwa nini ukawacha hizi zote ukapeleka chakula all the way mpaka Bamburi Portland Cement Factory kwenda kuharibu hichi chakula? Si huo ni uharibifu wa pesa za serikali? Kubeba chakula chote, uweza kulipa hii pesa yote, kubebwa hichi, kupelekwa mpaka kule na kwenda kuharibu hii chakula. Hiyo ni ya kwanza. Bwana waziri, nataka unijibu swali langu sasa. Umejibu vizuri sana kulikana na hii mambo ya Mukumu Girls. Kama vile awali nimekuambia, mimi natoka katika sehemu ya Kilifi County. Tuko na skuli mbalimbali, lakini kuna skuli ambazo zinajengwa na wanavijiji wenyewe, na skuli ambazo zinajengwa pia vile na kujumuisha pia county, pengine kusaidia na sisi kama wanasiasa kuweza kusaidia pia kuinua hali ya maisha ama hali ya watoto wetu wakiwa wanaenda skuli kusoma. Kuna skuli moja iko huko Adu, sehemu ya Adu ambao ni ward ambao mimi naiwakilisha, eneo bunge la Magarini constituency, na iko katika Kilifi County, inaitwa AJK. Nilikuwa nataka kujua ni lini skuli hii unaweza kuifanyia mipango, kwa sababu ya uhaba wa walimu. Skuli hii imepata tabu sana, na wale wakazi wa hapo wamekuwa wakilipa walimu, saa nyingine wanashindwa, saa nyingine walimu wanakosa kwenda kwa sababu hawajapata malipo yao ya mwisho wa mwezi. Ni lini serikali inafikiria inaweza kupeleka walimu wa serikali katika hiyo skuli ambayo iko kule Adu Ward katika Magarini constituency? Vile ni lini serikali inafikiria itachukua hatua ya kuigeuza hii iweze kuichukua na alafu kuweka walimu permanent pale wale wa serikali, ili ichukuliwe na wakazi wa ile eneo lile wapate afueni, ili kuwe ni skuli ya serikali. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Sorry, there was a question one to do with classroom and laboratories. And members, I also want to assure you on this, that actually classrooms, we don't have so much of a problem because we domiciled junior secondary schools in the existing primary schools. And where we have a problem which we are trying to work on is on the laboratories, because the curriculum for junior secondary schools requires that we have laboratories in junior secondary schools. And on this, I think we have had a discussion and a negotiation with World Bank at a very advanced level. The amounts we are likely to get in a month or two will be able to do almost 40% of the total requirement countrywide as far as laboratories are concerned. And also we are having a discussion with our members of parliament, kind of partnership from the CDF fund that they get, they can also be able to do the rest. Progressively, as we move forward, we are taking stock of the requirements, what we require years to come in form of classrooms, including in senior secondary, so that we are able to plan and do some of these things in advance. Teachers, Honourable Member of Parliament, I know that it's not only isolated to a single school. Members, you will be able to agree with me, Honourable Speaker. It's a problem that we have affecting a number of our schools, but ever since we came into power, this administration, members, you know that we have employed 35,000 teachers, and this coming financial year, we are also likely to employ an equal number. This will alleviate and mitigate on the kind of shortage, teacher shortage we have, not only in that school, but countrywide. Again, ever since this administration came into being, we had a very serious problem concerning registration of schools. You find a primary school has gone to grade 4, a secondary school has gone up to Form 3, and yet it is not registered. We have since given new guidelines where I think we are speeding up the registration of schools. And Honourable Member, HAK, if it is a registered school, of course, as you have requested, we can be able to work on it. If it is not registered, we ensure it is. We will also look at the number of teachers that we have in this school, and I'm sure we will be able to do something. I was in Kirifi, Honourable Speaker. The Honourable Senator, I'm sure, must be aware. We went to St. Thomas Girls Secondary School, one of the top schools, not only Kirifi, but the country. And we are doing something. I also did go to a number of schools. And indeed, one of the schools, I thank the Honourable member of this House, Senator Mandago, I think is not from Kirifi, but he brought to my notice a school in Kirifi which is very, very needy, and that particular school is in the program of funding from the infrastructure funds this financial year, money which is getting in that account before Friday of this week, because we have been provided with funds from the National Treasury. The last question concerning why is it that we had to take the contaminated maize, rice, and beans all the way from Kakamega to Bamburi. Initially, I was also asking the same question as Senator is asking, and I found from our experts in NEMA and public health that the only area that we have a facility for disposal, that this particular maize and the beans and the rice would have been disposed and dispensed with was Bamburi. The whole of Western region, Nairobi, we did not have that kind of facility to have it disposed of, but Bamburi has a very, very good facility for disposal. You know, initially I was also thinking it is something easy. What we are also advising the schools out of the experience we had in Mukumu is that they don't have to buy maize, beans, and the rice to last the entire team, because the quantities that they had, you can be able to see, is such that very big quantities that would have lasted the entire term. And also the kind of preservative being used is one other thing that brought a lot of problems. We are also now checking on that, out of that experience, escalating it to all our schools nationally, so that our county directors, the public health people, and the experts are able to check on this. And from our meetings and the guidance we have even given our county directors of education, we are really following up this. So, Honorable Speaker, sir, it was out of the recommendation of the experts, and we were informed that the only facility where we can be able to have it destroyed, say that, you know, we don't have the kind of situation we are hearing, that there was something somewhere and then it got out in the market. We don't want this thing to be somewhere and then after a few days you find brought the maize, the rice, the beans has gotten back in the market. We wanted us to have it disposed as soon as possible and expeditiously so. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Chute.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Nashukuru sana waziri vile ameongelea juu ya mambo ya shule. Vile unavyojua Bwana Spika, kifo ya mwalimu na kifo ya wanafunzi 4 ni mambo ya kushangaza na ya kustua. Jana Mheshimiwa Spika, nilikuwa primary school inaitwa Santuri kule Loyangalani, constituency ya Laisamis. Niliingia staff room nikakuta chakula inapikwa kwa hiyo staff room, grains imewekwa kwa hiyo staff room, mandege wakiingia, wakibeba, wakihara, wakitoka. Na nikauliza kwa nini imekuwa hivyo, na wakasema hatuna facility ya kutosha ya kuweka hizo chakula. Chakula yaharibiki kwa sababu ya kuletwa peke yake. Hata vile inawekwa kwa mastore iko na shida sana. Nimesikia waziri akiongea mambo ya shule moja peke yake. Ningetaka waziri aseme ameweka mkakati gani ya kuhakikisha nchi hii yote, shule zote ziwe na mpangilio vizuri, tusipate shida ile tulipata kwa hiyo shule. Uko najua waziri uko na watu ya kutosha ya kukueleza kitu gani inaendelea kila mahali Kenya hii. Kwa nini hujatuambia umechukua hatua hiyo kwa hiyo shule na shule zingine ndani ya Kenya? Hujatuambia umechukua hatua gani? Kwa sababu leo ujui wanafunzi wangapi wataenda kufa kwa sababu ile shida ilikuwa kwa hiyo shule ambayo inaitwa Mukumu High School. Sio hiyo shule peke yake kuna shida, iko na shule nyingi. Utuambie hizo shule zingine umechukua hatua gani tusipoteze watoto na walimu vile tumepoteza katika Mukumu. Asante sana.
Honorable CS.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. I wish to inform the House that the Ministry developed the Safety Standards Manual for schools to provide guidelines on ensuring safety and health conditions in the school environment. The manual requires each school to have a school safety subcommittee. The manual also provides guidance on a number of issues such as skills-based education on prevention of endemic conditions, promotion of environmental sanitation and hygiene practices, provision of safe water and sanitation, protection of children with special needs with regard to their health and hygiene, and on the taking of immediate steps when there is a threat on an epidemic outbreak. Through our quality assurance teams on the ground, we continue to monitor compliance with the requirements of the manual. So we have a manual on this, and the Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, one other problem is that we have over 30,000 primary schools. Some of them get missed during lunch time. We have over 10,000 secondary schools, TVETs, and of course our universities. We have, apart from the structures we have as a ministry, which we have said we must strengthen those structures. We have sub-county directors of education. Some of them were not properly facilitated to move around schools. But what this administration has done is that with the effect from this year, we are giving each of one of them a vehicle such that they can be able to be checking around the schools, because as CS and the PS education, we cannot, it is not physically possible for us to move to each and every school and check on this. But the officers, right from the regional level, the county and the sub-county level, we have insisted that they must be going into schools. And among the other things that they have to check on is to ensure that people comply and conform to the tenets and the provisions of the manual. And even me personally, Honorable Speaker, sir, when I go to schools, like yesterday, I had an opportunity of moving to 6 secondary schools in Siaya and the Nyanza region. One of the things actually is mandatory for me to check is the food and the water. Out of water happened everywhere I moved to. When you see me in Kirifi, when you see me in your counties, when you see me coming to each and every school, I make sure that this is what I also check. And also reminding our officers, because on a monthly basis, even where I'm not able to have my officers together, we are having virtual meetings. When I'm not chairing those meetings, my PS is the one chairing, and one of the items of agenda that we discuss on is this one. So I hope with the kind of insistence we are having on our officers at each and every level, we should be able to have to get it right.
Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is actually similar to what the Honorable Said Chute has asked. So, but maybe I'll just put a slight amendment and say that one life is too many already. When you lose a school child, even if it's just one, it's too many, and I should gather the collective rage of the Ministry of Education and all those responsible. I've had the CS respond to Senator Said Chute and state that there are guidelines that have been put in place that will guide the schools on how this food handling is done, that will prevent a similar occurrence in any other school in the Republic of Kenya. The only thing that wasn't clear from the answer of response of the CS, which I want him to clarify to this House, Mr. Speaker, is if these guidelines were already in place at the time of the incident in Mukumu, what caused the breach then if we already had the guidelines? And finally, if there have been now further amendments to these guidelines so as to fully seal all the loopholes so that we don't lose any other Kenyan child in school because of the kind of situation that happened in Mukumu. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think one area that we must admit that we have had a problem, and the Honorable Member also said about a director somewhere, is on enforcement. yes, you can have a very good manual, but the issue of enforcement, and this is what I've said, I'm giving my officers all the necessary support, because some of the excuses they have been using is that they are not able to move around schools, support which they are now getting. And one of the other things we have done in the performance contracting of our officers, among others, the major thing is now on this, that we are not going to follow just the routine issue that we have been following some of them. This is top on the agenda. So we are actually following on enforcement, because one area that there might have been a little bit of a weakness is, yes, directives are issued, guidelines are issued, policies are issued, but who follows, who monitors to make sure that they are actually practiced. So I think that is where we had a weakness, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, but this time around we are really following and making sure that our officers on the ground are able to follow not only with the schools, but to make sure that whatever we have issued in the form of a manual is actually enforced.